He was a bright student with a promising future.
He was so smart. He'd get all his work done before anybody in the class.
Then, a sudden change in his daily routine.
He missed class.
Does that sound like your brother?
No.
A reliable son goes missing. A relentless mom goes looking.
I gotta do something. I gotta go look for him.
Every second counts. But as you'll see, it would take more than a day before anyone realized a search was needed.
Hey everybody, my name is Jelani Day.
25-year-old Jelani Day was the fourth of Carmen Day's 5 children raised in Danville, Illinois. 2 girls and 3 boys.
In my house, my kids took great pride into their grades. They wanted to see who GPA could be higher than the next one.
The kids were close and competitive. His older brothers, Save and DeAndre, admired Jelani and were proud of him.
He was very athletic, very smart, had goals.
Had countless friends in different programs and organizations he was a part of that he made a difference in.
Jelani was an A student at Alabama A&M. He was even chosen to say the prayer at graduation.
May we feel a sense of achievement in our qualification and great excitement about our future.
I was like, look at my baby. Look at my baby.
Jelani Jesse Javante Day.
I'm very proud of him.
In August 2021, Jelani was getting his master's degree in the competitive field of speech pathology at Illinois State University in downstate Normal.
Why speech pathology?
He wanted to help others who didn't have a voice for themselves to be able to speak. He had a friend growing up, his name is Paul, and Paul had a speech impediment. He used to get teased a lot.
Jelani got a very early start on the morning of Tuesday, August 24th. He logged into a school computer on campus at 6:20 a.m. Then, an hour later at 7:20, got coffee at this Starbucks at the ISU Student Union. That is him on security video, dressed up in black pants and a blue shirt. Take note of his outfit. Carmen says he seemed excited about a clinical session with a patient later that afternoon and called her repeatedly the day before.
He was going to go through his homework, and he said, okay, Mom, I don't want nothing. I just wanted to hear your voice. And I said, okay, babe, I'll talk to you in the morning.
Jelani did not call his mom the next day. She assumed he was busy at school. In the weeks since then, Carmen has carefully watched the college security video from that morning.
I see him going in a building where he's approached by 2 people. It looks like he talks to them and they all go into the building.
The building is Fairchild Hall, which houses the speech pathology and audiology department. Carmen says the tape shows him walking out a few minutes later.
I see him sit down on a bench, and I see him looking at his phone.
Like he's reading a text or like he's looking at video or what?
It was texting.
Then Carmen says he walked back across campus and there's video of his car leaving. His mother says he must have driven to his apartment off campus. She later retraced his steps.
When I went there, it was typical Jelani. He'd take his clothes off and leave them in the floor.
About 2 hours later, around 9:12 a.m., Jelani was caught on camera again in different clothes, this time wearing shorts and a Jimi Hendrix t-shirt. He was walking into the Beyond Hello marijuana dispensary, 10 minutes from campus in Bloomington. His mother says he bought one joint and left.
But Jelani did not go back to campus for his class at 1 o'clock that afternoon, and crucial time would pass before anyone realized something was wrong. 24 hours later, when he missed class for a second day, his professor was now concerned enough to alert the school for a wellness check.
What happened to my brother?
His brother DeAndre, a middle school teacher, was the first relative to get the news.
Police came knocking on my door saying, we were looking for your brother. So I called my mom and my sister, have you heard from him? They said no.
Immediately, Carmen knew something was terribly wrong and says she tried to convince police to go all in, even though she says they told her adults missing a short time only trigger a full search if they're in danger of hurting themselves or others.
Did you tell the police that he was in danger of hurting himself or others?
I said, but at this point, I don't know. So I'm telling you, if that's what you need me to say to you, I will say anything. And he said, well, I'll get back with you.
Police tell us under state law, all missing persons cases are taken seriously right away. So when Carmen reported Jelani missing at 8:57 that night, they say they went to work. calling hospitals, friends, and relatives.
As the investigation began, detectives focused on that security video and started looking for more pictures from stores, homes, and gas stations.
Every investigation in 2021 is ultra reliant on video cameras and electronic data.
The story of the missing college student would eventually go viral after a rallying cry on social media called out the national media's attention on the Gabby Petito case, noting the racial disparities in the coverage of people who go missing.
I'm glad that it's getting media attention. It helps us with our investigation.
Even with the coverage, the key question remained, where on earth did Jelani go? What caused him to leave this campus, change out of his dress clothes when he had such an important class that afternoon? Who was he talking to? Who was he possibly texting? What was said in any of the messages? His mother says this clearly goes far beyond the legal purchase of marijuana. Something changed, right?
Something changed.
What happened?
I don't know. I've been trying to figure it out.
Do you think the answer's on that phone?
I do. I believe that it is.
That day, Jelani was driving a car he was proud of and careful with, a 2010 white Chrysler 300 he got from his grandfather.
He put the car in the shop, got the car painted, got the car repaired, everything, and he paid for it all by himself.
On Thursday, 2 days after his disappearance, Carmen says she received an email when a story broke saying her son's car had been found an hour north in Peru, Illinois. She says a detective finally called.
I already heard about it, so I'm mad. I'm very upset. And he said, "Where did you hear about it from?" It's like, it's in the newspaper. It's on the news.
Carmen scrambled to get to a wooded area near the town's YMCA where police had been searching the car.
To me, it's unusual the way his vehicle was. You know, it was off of a parking lot inside. It wasn't like deep into a woods, but it was off a parking lot. That's very unusual to just find a car like that.
Investigators recovered several items inside. Some of the clothes he was wearing at the dispensary, a partially smoked marijuana cigar blunt, and Jelani's journal. Was there a clue in what was written inside? Police won't say.
We collected a lot of evidence from the vehicle, and we were using a lot of that.
They say there's no blood. They say it doesn't look like anything was disturbed. They don't see any signs of foul play.
Does anything about this make sense?
Absolutely not. Nothing makes sense to me. There's nothing about the car being in the wooded area, the city of Peru. I never even heard of the city of Peru until we found the car.
Carmen says the car's license plate had been removed.
What does that tell you?
This is purposeful.
And soon there was more. Police conducted an extensive search nearby with dogs, drones, and teams on foot. They found Jelani's wallet a quarter-mile from the car in a residential area.
Any money in the wallet?
There was no money in the wallet.
Any of his credit cards or debit cards?
Nope.
And he had those things, right?
Yes, he did.
Did you check the debit card and the credit card? Was there any activity between the time he disappeared?
No, I'm not seeing any activity.
Nothing?
Nothing.
With no sign of life, the family was frightened and frustrated and tried to find Jelani on their own.
I put out this post on Facebook, and I asked anybody who could and will to meet me in Peru.
How many people showed up?
More people than I expected.
They organized a search near the area where the car was found. Volunteers came from as far away as Chicago. Even professional tracking dogs arrived with a handler.
They split us up into groups. There was a park across the street from this wooded area.
And they found several things, clothes and a gun clip. Carmen called police to process the evidence.
And he said to us, they collected that, what we found, but he doesn't think it had anything to do with Jelani. He thinks it was somebody, a homeless person.
Then, on Saturday, September 4th, a week and a half after Jelani's disappearance, a partially clad, badly decomposed body was found floating face down under a tree that had fallen into the Illinois River in Peru, 3 miles from the car. Carmen raced to the scene, but says police told her she should not view the body.
Didn't even get to look at my baby. I didn't see him, and I wish I would have looked at him. I wish I would have.
The body had a double-knotted sweatshirt tied around the waist. Jelani's shorts and sneakers were on a riverbank and contained unidentified DNA, raising even more questions. Using dental records and the family's DNA, it would take an excruciating 19 days for authorities to finally make a positive ID of the body. It was Jelani. But the family was stunned by the official cause of death. It wasn't any type of wound or injury as they expected. The medical examiner said Jelani Day had drowned.
I will never forget that day. To hear my dad cry like that and to hear my mother in so much pain was horrific. It was really devastating. And to get that explanation that he drowned was a slap in the face. It was an insult to us.
But the coroner also wrote drowning is considered a diagnosis of exclusion when a body's found in water with no other obvious injury.
Did he know how to swim?
Absolutely. He swam in high school. He was an avid swimmer. He swam all the time, working out, always at the pool.
So how did he end up in the river? Is there any chance Jelani took his own life?
Jelani's never had any kind of any inclination that he wanted to harm himself.
Was he on any medication
He
for
was
mental
not
illness,
nothing,
depression?
Nothing.
How much did your son have to live for?
Everything to live for. He loved life. He loved his family.
In fact, she says Jelani had recently volunteered to be the donor for his father, who had leukemia and needed a stem cell transplant.
He was the most likely match for his dad.
And he wanted to do it?
He absolutely, yeah.
Sadly, Jelani's father passed away 7 months after he did.
Justice for Jelani!
Justice for Jelani!
Carmen Day has accused the Bloomington police of dragging their feet when she first reported Jelani missing. And she says authorities took far too long to identify his body, and they and the media would have worked much harder and faster if her son wasn't black.
Bloomington dropped the ball from the beginning.
We won't argue with their emotions. If they feel like we're not doing enough, that's how they feel about it. We can provide some facts on what we're doing, but I'm not going to tell, their family, how they should feel.
The family is losing confidence in the local authorities. They want answers.
Civil rights attorney Ben Crump and Reverend Jesse Jackson are helping in her fight for answers.
Throughout this whole ordeal, I try not to be that angry black woman or try not to be in their face and telling them what they needed to do because I needed them to look for my child.
Bloomington police and the LaSalle County coroner both declined our request for an on-camera interview. In a written statement, Bloomington police told us they would not comment because the case is still an active investigation and the FBI is involved. To the family, it felt like everything was at a standstill.
Then, 6 weeks after the body was recovered, a significant clue was found through pure luck. A man was driving on the highway when he pulled off on one of the Bloomington exits to secure a mattress that was tied to the roof of his car. He just happened to look down at the side of the road and saw an iPhone. It was Jelani Day's. What do you want to know from that phone?
I want to know who's involved, who was he last texting in his last hours, who was his last conversation with.
Through the Freedom of Information Act, we obtained heavily redacted emails from the FBI to Peru police. One is called Extraction Report Apple iPhone, 23 chats and 17 messages. These details have been cross-referenced from Jelani's contact list. Another notes 6 phone numbers of interest. But a detective also writes nothing crazy on Jelani's phone extraction. The information they have is apparently from Verizon's call records, but they still have not figured out the password and gotten inside the phone to see what was written in the messages.
Has anyone come forward to say, yeah, I was talking with Jelani that day on the phone?
Nobody came forward. It's people that I found out that he went to go see that day at the medical facility on campus. They didn't even come forward and say, yeah, I remember talking to him that day.
Police sources close to the investigation tell us his phone was turned off at 9:21 a.m. while Jelani was believed to be in the parking lot leaving the marijuana dispensary. Video shows him driving away. His iPhone was later tossed from his car onto that roadside on I-55 North, south of mile marker 158. The question is, did Jelani do that, or did someone else?
Do you think there are people out there with information?
Absolutely. I think people are withholding information for some whatever reason, but I don't care.
The Day family has lost a brother, a son, and now a father, but say their will to find justice for Jelani will never wane.
And I'm trusting God that everything I'm doing to find out what happened to him will not be in vain. This is not going to be an unsolved mystery.